Okay, in this last video related to the abstract class, we're going to change abstract class to be an interface, and we'll look at the relationship between an abstract class and an interface. So we're going to come in here, and I will open this guy up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from an abstract class to an interface. So interface, and notice that's a reserved word. And if I try to compile this now, it says it doesn't like having a field x. It's a private field in this case, an int. And so an interface is very, very much more limited than a game object. All it has are abstract methods rather. And so it does not have fields. It does not have any constructor. And if it has any methods, these methods have to be abstract. Now, since it can only have abstract methods, I don't have to have the word abstract here. I can put it in here if I want to, but typically we wouldn't, because since there's only one option, we don't have to have that keyword. Java is going to know that this is going to be abstract, and so I can take all of this out, and for each of these, I can just go ahead and replace the body of these guys with semicolons. This guy I'm going to copy, so I can copy him into each of my subclasses. Remember, I cannot have any regular methods inside of an interface, and so now this guy is good to go. And so that's going to be my interface. The real trick in this is going to be to change all of my subclasses to reflect these changes. So an interface is a lot simpler in some sense than an abstract class, but now that I come over to, for instance, if I come over to my tower class, I'm going to have to make a lot of changes in here. So for instance, I can't say tower class extends GameObject. GameObject is no longer an abstract class. Now it's an interface, so I have to say class tower implements GameObject. And so since GameObject is an interface, I change this word to implements, and now I need to make other changes here. For instance, since the GameObject interface doesn't have a constructor, I can't ever use the word super. I can't pass it any parameters that way. And what I need to do down here is simply make sure that all of these other methods that are inside my interface come into tower. So let's go back, and maybe it'll be easier if I just take all of these guys and copy them. And so I take this, copy it, and I've got to recreate each of these guys in tower. So after I do my constructor, at this point all I have to do is come in here and get rid of my semicolon and make sure that I also get rid of the keyword abstract. And so this guy's going to return an int, so I'll simply say return x. And the same thing down here for y. I'll simply create a body, and all this guy is going to do for my get y is going to return y. And so I'm going to have to do this in every subclass now. Public abstract boolean update. Again, this is going to return a boolean value, so I'm just going to, for the sake of making this compilable, I'm going to say return true. And for get rid of the word abstract, get rid of the word abstract here. And let's say this guy is going to have not return anything, so I can just leave that one as is. This guy's going to return a string, so I can say return string. And finally the distance formula, which is going to have all that distance code. I'm not going to recreate it right now, but I'll say return 1. Okay, so this now has at least the templates where I can begin to write the code in each of these, but this guy will compile now. And if I look back at my other, so this guy compiled. If I try to do that over here, notice this is a dotted line, so it still has that big arrowhead in BlueJ. The difference between an interface now, this word has changed to interface, and instead of having a solid line, I have this dotted line with the big arrowhead. In any case, over here, if I should probably take all of this code and just copy it over. So if I try to compile this as is, it won't compile. First of all, it says there's This is an interface, but I'm extending an interface. I can't do that, so I have to implement it. And so if I say implements, that's good. And then I will have to go ahead and make all those other changes that I just made. To make that simpler, I think I can just go back in here and take this guy and let's just copy all of these after the constructor. And I will load that into bullet. And I can do the same thing for my other class over here, enemy. And after the constructor, I will load all of these guys in. And that should do it. Okay, now I got to go ahead and change this to implements. And get rid of my super. And let's see if that compiles now. Oh, it doesn't know what X is because I don't have any X and Y values in this one. So I'd have to create local X and Y here. And so let's put in 2 and 3. And now it does compile. Okay, so that is, in a sense, if I go over here now and say compile, everything is working. I just have to go back into each of these individual ones and write this code. But notice I still can come over here. I can still have an array list, and now I have an array list of game objects. Game object is no longer an abstract class. It's now an interface, but that's no problem. And now I have an array list where every one of my subclasses is going to have all the necessary methods that I need to function inside this game. And so I have an array list of objects derived from interfaces, or that implement interfaces rather than extend the class. And that's it.